So, this is going to be a topic that is going to hit all kinds of notes. A lot of people are going to have opinions on it. There's going to be a lot of fighting, but it's been showing up on my feed. And it's representing a YouTuber that I kind of watch, but kind of don't watch. And it led me to this guy, Heckin Steve, who is someone who is very hypercritical of the reseller market. Now, I'm not going to go into a deep dive, and I'm just saying that if he were to disagree with what I have to say, that's fine. But after seeing some of his videos and seeing videos of said resellers in action, I figured I would do this little dive into it. Now, we're not going to watch the full video. I may or may not jump around. We will see. So, let's just get into it.
What up, peeps? It's your boy Heckin Steve. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're talking about Chase After the Right Price, his video from 3 days ago, making amends with a game store. So I fast forwarded to the end because I just want.
All right, so I am familiar with Chase. It actually got recommended to me by somebody who I know, and I watched some of his videos. They're okay. It is basically what it is. They're someone who goes out, tries to find games super cheap, and then he flips them for profit. I'm going to hold my thoughts on that until we get a little further in. So this guy is talking about Chase After the Right Price.
I want to get this point across real quick, but we are going to watch some clips from the video after that, so just hang tight.
There it is.
Memory card adapter, PS2 to PS3.
For $2.99. Those things sell all day for 60 bucks. What? I saw it. I was like, is that the memory card adapter? He's like, yep, memory card adapter. I'm like, I'll take that. That was a huge score, so that ended up being a great stop. Some of you guys may remember a video that we put out about 2 years ago now. It's actually at this store. They found out that we had an online shop and then actually refused to sell to us. Long story short.
So original owner refused to do business with them based on them being a reseller. Wonder why.
I came back later and they were like, okay, we'll sell it to you, but you can't have any discounts. And it was just kind of a weird feeling that it gave, especially since the business model of the store is reselling. Apparently, about a year ago, these stores got bought out by a new owner who enjoys selling things and has kind
okay. I don't like that response. That's a very unnecessary jab at them, but okay.
of a different approach to resellers. Between the store we went to this morning and the store here right now, it really excites me because the culture has shifted. It feels more inviting, kind of less toxic, and there's a lot more of a collaboration between.
Okay, I just want you to keep in mind that in this video, he bought over 100 games, or close to 100 games, and this is just one day, and he's just one reseller. And you know there's thousands of resellers at this point all over the place. So here's the freaking problem that I have with Chase After the Right Price, who somehow is a skinny dude with a double chin. All right, so let's talk about retail stores. So he said that, you know, the whole business model of the store is reselling, and that is true. But there's a lot of differences between what he does and what they do. First of all, I mean, they're selling at what the current price charting value is, or close to it. And he's coming in and he is buying it, and then he's going to sell it for 150 to 200% markup, whether it be on Amazon or on whatnot. But here is the big problem that I have with the resellers that buy from the stores, like Chase After the Right Price, obviously, RJC Media, you know, he goes to GameStop all the time, and even Caleb Phoenix Resale, you know, he buys from stores too.
Yeah, so Phoenix Resale is the one I'm subscribed to that I've watched his videos. Can't say that I've really been a fan of a lot of the stuff he's been doing lately. It's been focusing more on the business owner side of it, but I definitely feel like there's a weird feeling that goes along with it. Maybe we'll talk about that another time, but it's like he'll go in, he'll talk about like the current status of the market and owning a store, and like these people are talking about how it's way more difficult than it has been before. And then, like, Caleb will just be plugging his website that will directly link to him while these business owners are complaining and talking about their sales taking a hit. So that, to me, just feels really off.
When these dudes go in here and they nitpick and buy every single desirable game that has been price gouged out the ass by these motherfuckers, like the Pokemon games, whatever it may be. There's a lot of different ones. And, him being a Pokemon collector in general, it's just kind of fucked up that he would even want to, support that, for his own benefit. But I guess.
How? What does it matter if he's an alleged Pokemon guy or not? Like, I don't understand how that's weird. Maybe he'll explain it here in a minute. If not, I'll...
He likes money more than Pokemon. But the problem with, support that, for his own benefit. But I guess he likes money more than Pokemon. But the problem with this shit.
He likes money more than Pokemon. Yes, if he's promoting himself and his business, yeah, you would definitely put your business ahead of your personal likes. That to me just seems weird. Like, why would you sacrifice revenue just because it's your favorite? Like, I'm a huge Final Fantasy guy, and if I were to have a video game reselling business, I'm not going to hoard every single Final Fantasy that comes in because it's my favorite. No, from a business standpoint, I'd be stupid not to sell them. So that part I don't understand. I know this guy here, I know he does collect a lot of Pokemon stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if he's... This argument of, being a true gamer versus being a business owner or having your own business, I don't... It's not a one or the other. You can do both.
It's great. He gets the store, big sales, even if they offer him a discount, which they usually do, they still make a good amount of money off of it, and that's great. And you can see that part of it. But then let's say Timmy comes in, right? They walk in the store and they're like, yeah, I see a lot of the usual stuff that you see in a game store. Nothing really catching my eye here, so I guess
that's going to happen whether or not they buy from them or not. That seems like a very simplistic argument. But do you know what I mean? This argument being framed here, whether it's these guys or a casual customer with money to spend, of course they're going to go and look for the big AAA titles. And this, as this guy says, the market that they sell at must work, otherwise people wouldn't be buying them at these prices. Now the counter argument being that these guys are coming in, spending lots of money, and they're getting all the good games, leaving the scraps for other people, therefore customers won't come in and spend money. So here's the thing, that's, again, whether or not these resellers come in, that's going to happen. And if the argument is that these people like Chase and Caleb who just come in and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on all of this product, it's leaving no meat on the bone for the normal walk-in customer. I'd argue that it's the responsibility of the game store to continuously buy more product and get it in. I would also say that if they're not able to make a proper living off of the rest of their inventory and just their highly sought after popular games, and I would say that maybe that's a chance to lower their stock and maybe move other inventory out. See, that's a big part of owning a business, is that you're going to have your top sellers that you can put at those premium prices, and they're going to sell no matter what. The market is clearly showing that. The more popular it is, the stable price it goes at, sometimes it'll go up, sometimes it'll go down. But you can't solely just rely on those things, especially in a game store. I mean, how many times does that happen to us? We go into a game store, looking at the shelves, looking at the case, all the big heavy hitters that we want, not there. Maybe we're not looking for the obscure, hard to look for, or hard to find titles. Maybe we're not looking for shovelware. But I guess the other argument is that they're being given this deal that somehow isn't fair because the average, Timmy is not getting it. And to which I say, that's up to the business owner. If they want to give a guy who walks in and says, hey, I'm going to buy every single Legend of Zelda, every single Mario that you got, And he's like, right there, boom, $1,500. And then he says, hey, would you be willing to make a deal? I don't think the guy behind the counter would really hesitate too much to even consider thinking about it. Or basically what I'm saying is, at that point when you spend that kind of money, when we're talking about a deal, I mean, we're talking about like $100, maybe $200, but you're moving well over like $1,200, $1,300 in product at that point, even after. And if the business just chooses not to do it, then that's on the business. But this isn't a reseller problem. I'd argue this is more of a store problem. And that if the store wanted to protect its profits better, then don't offer deals. But I don't think they're going to make rules that say they're not going to do deals with resellers to buy their big games because they want to make sure the average customer gets what they want. No, it's a matter of first come, first serve. That's how this business always has been. And listen, I'm not trying to hate on anyone, because I've definitely fallen into that category too, of like looking for a certain game and I can't find it no matter what store I walk into. I've heard it everywhere. Even when I used to go look for games at Goodwill, I've heard the story. Oh, there was a bunch of stuff in here earlier, but now it's gone. This really isn't that much different. It's a video game store that specializes in video games, and they're selling the popular ones. And they may or may not give deals to people who come in and buy in bulk. Why? Because they're going to come back later and they're going to buy in bulk again. And that's an argument I'd say leave to the game store. Now, that's just me personally.
I won't buy anything. There's none of this highly like desired video games.
That's making the argument that people are going in there solely for just the big name titles, which I disagree with, but go on.
So then they like leave, and then like they may not come back for a week, they may not come back for a month, hoping that better stock will come in. But of course, Chase, probably on the regular, will come into the store and just continue to take all those games. So you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I guess I do see what you're saying. So what you're saying is that the store gets new inventory in, Chase just happens to come in on one day when they got new inventory, and then he buys the inventory, and you're mad that it's not going to someone else. This to me just seems like it's very targeted, like rage and hatred toward these people. And it's like, how is that any different than any other person going in and dropping hundreds of dollars on this game? Whether or not they're getting a deal, what does it matter? Like, this just feels wrong. Now, I'm not going to get fully into the whole reselling argument itself, but I will say this, because I'm going to keep this a short video. These people who have these businesses, who go to thrift stores, go to pawn shops, go to the mom and pop game stores, or even like the bigger game stores like GameStop. If they go in there, buy games at their listed price, and then turn around and are able to sell them on like, Amazon, Amazon Seller, eBay, even Facebook Marketplace, that's their business. I have a feeling, and I don't know too much about Heckin Steve. I'm planning on watching more videos. It just sounds to me like the whole concept in general of reselling, or at least the taking and flipping beyond what these things are selling for normally, is what really pisses him off. And believe me, I completely understand that. I get that. I've seen people ask for some ridiculous prices, and people like Caleb and Chase here, like, I've seen some of their listings on Amazon, and I think they're ridiculous. I think the Amazon market for used games is ridiculously expensive, and there's usually a reason why a lot of these stores have to undercut that, because the average person isn't going to come in here. I do think there is a problem with scummy resellers, but I've also worked a lot with other resellers who will go to, garage sales, who will go to estate sales, and they'll find really cool stuff. And then they'll contact me and they'll say, hey, are you interested? Before they put it online or however they want to distribute that, or their ads. and I'll make a deal with them, and then I'll get it for more than they paid for, which is really the name of the game in reselling. You're just trying to make more money than what you put into it, which is what these game stores are doing, because I can almost guarantee you they're probably paying people pennies on the dime for like junk games, and like between a few dollars to maybe like 10 to 20 on like the more sought after games, because they got to get these games in the door, they got to put them on their shelves, they got to sell them, they got to be able to pay the employees there, they got to pay the utilities, they got to pay the rent on the property. This to me is, I feel like it's a lot of misguided rage. And I can't say I'm a huge fan of Chase. I'm becoming less of a fan of Caleb. But this Heckin Steve guy, who I think is someone who is kind of gatekeeping the hobby of retro gaming or collecting in general, I think this is also representing another extreme where he's trying to dictate the state of how people choose to make their money once games leave the hands of, whether it be a person-to-person transaction or a business-to-person transaction. And I'll leave it at this for now. Very brief. At the end of the day, it's really their business. And if these businesses can't do well outside of only selling these big games that can be resold at higher prices, then I'd say it's on the stores to move the rest of their product another way. And to the resellers who come in and buy everything and overlist it, I mean, it's only a matter of time before they're, the people start speaking for themselves, and they're like, I'm not going to buy overinflated prices. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad at the reseller for doing what they did. Well, maybe a little bit, because they're kind of buying all like the big game thing, but they're paying the price for it. They might be getting a small discount because they're buying in bulk, but that's not something I am prepared to do. Like, I can't say I'm going to walk in someplace and drop like thousands of dollars on games. And even if they don't, again, that's on them. So I'll just leave it at this. If you're the kind of person that likes to buy and sell, I'd say that's cool. If you're someone who lists for way above market value, you're hurting the hobby, and you are kind of hurting yourself, and it's only a matter of time before that shift happens again. I feel like a lot of it is from the pandemic, where everybody was buying anything that they could. And as far as Heckin Steve goes, I'd say it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, it looks like he's amassed a nice little collection, and again, there's parts of this where I can understand where he's coming from. I'm not throwing shade at this guy, but at the end of the day, it's hard for me to get mad at the resellers who are spending the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on these games, and then ultimately feel bad for the business owner who, I guess, according to Steve here, isn't able to stay afloat selling anything else, to which I'm saying, if they're not able to sell anything else, then maybe they really are in trouble. I don't know. Just a thought.